Ken Hovind here in the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland, Lenox, Alabama. What is it? November 24th, getting close to Thanksgiving. Come on, join us. Tonight we're going to start a new series on the Song of Solomon. Got Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and then Song of Solomon. So we'll have a series of all Solomon's teachings here when we're done. The Right Kind of Love, Song of Solomon, chapter 1. Here we are. We're on a bunch of channels. We're on Facebook, keeps growing, 205,000. Rumble, 10,000. Twitter, or X. Let's see, our own app, KenHovind.tv. Instagram, TikTok. Sign up for all of them. And if they take us off of one, you get them on the other. Thank you, atheists, for working so hard to get my YouTube channel shut down 5 times. Made it spread out even more, didn't it? Now, please, everybody post these on YouTube, on your YouTube channel, okay? Okay, here we go. Let's see, November the 24th, Song of Solomon, chapter 1. A couple days is Thanksgiving. Come join us. We're having lots of people come for Thanksgiving. I think our cabins are full. If you want to help us finish some more spots, we got to finish the apartments in the Ark. Need a bunch of money for that. If you want to help with that, come join us for Christmas. We have all kinds of people come here from all over the world, 84 countries now, and all 50 states. Come on down. I told the girls that I was giving them the tour today, brother, when I was 12 years old, I memorized the capitals of every country in the world. I still know them. Pick a country, RJ, pick a country, I'll tell you the capital. Yeah. Why? Yemen starts with capital Y. Pick another one, Joseph.
That's right.
Correct. Okay. Help us stay open for free. We don't charge anything, never have, because we have people support our ministry to get the gospel out, okay? Join our 777 club. Connect all those black dots and it'll do something for you. You get the prize. If you want to be a member, call 855-BIG-DINO, extension 1. That would be you, Joy, right? You get extension 1? Okay, good. Or email Dr. Dino Secretary at gmail.com. drdino.com. Open for 9.7 years now. Okay, 6,000 years ago, according to the Bible, God made everything. Okay, everything in 6 days. Evolution is the dumbest idea ever. And then there was a big flood 4,400 years ago where Noah built a big boat and saved everybody on board. We cover all that on several of my video series. Then God called a guy named Abram to come out of his land about 2,000 years before Christ, and it's to give him a special land, the land of Israel, the promised land. He promised it to Abraham. So there's that arrow right in here from Abraham to Daniel. I'm going to blow that up a little bit. From Abraham to Daniel. Genesis covers about 2,500 years of history, all the way up to Moses, really. Then the book of Exodus, is when they're down in Egypt and they exit, they go out. The book of Exodus is the story of them leaving. Moses, so you got Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Those are the stories. The Pentateuch, Penta means 5. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Then you had a period of judges. They went into the promised land. They didn't have a king for quite a while. And the people said, we want to have a king like everybody else. God said, tell them, it's not good. But they didn't listen, so he gave them kings. So there's a period of kings. The first couple was Saul, and then King David, and then King Solomon, his son. Those are the first 3. Then Solomon's son Rehoboam was a moron, and he split the kingdom, started a civil war. And from then on, you got two nations to keep track of, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. So it gets a little confusing. The kings of Judah and the kings of Israel. It's all in the same country, it's just now divided north and south. There we go, kings of Judah. So here we have, the Old Testament has 3 letters, Testament has 9. There are 39 books in the Old Testament. 3 times 9 is 27, and there are 27 books in the New Testament. The first 5 are called the Pentateuch, Penta meaning 5, okay? Then we come to the poetry ones, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Songs, sometimes usually called Song of Solomon. Solomon wrote love letters about falling in love with one of his wives, maybe his first one, I don't know, he had 700. We will see. In the New Testament, you have a cluster of books about the church, the 4 Gospels, and then the Acts, the actions of the disciples. What did they do? Anyway, the great song or collection of poetic songs is unique in the Bible. If the Song of Solomon was not in our Bible, and we were to discover it as an ancient document from the time of Solomon, it's unlikely we would include it in the collection of Old Testament books, because some people think it's a little, risque. Charles Spurgeon preached 59 sermons on this book, and Bernard of Clairvaux preached 86 sermons on chapter 1 and 2 alone. Some avoid this book altogether. It's an important teacher in the early church said of Song of Solomon, that's Origen. I don't know if I trust what he says too much. I advise and counsel everyone who has not yet rid of vexations of the flesh and spirit and has not ceased to feel the passions of the bodily nature to refrain from reading the book. I encourage people not to read Song of Solomon and the things that will be said about it. Origen apparently felt he was prepared to study Song of Solomon because he castrated himself when he was a young man. That's called idiot. Yeah, okay. There we go. Solomon, the richest man who ever lived. King's wealth, described in the Hebrew Bible, was, according to 1 Kings, he had 666 talents of gold annually. That's about $4.7 million every day. If you can't live on that, you're living too high on the hog. Okay? As Solomon loved the Lord, he said in 1 Kings chapter 3, and the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream and said, Solomon, what do you want? Tell me what you want. I'll give you what you want. Okay? And Solomon said, I want wisdom. Lord, give me wisdom and understanding that I can. And the saying pleased the Lord that he asked this thing. This is in chapter 3. Okay? And the Lord said, behold, I've done according to thy words. I've given thee a wise and understanding heart. So there was none like him before, neither shall there be after him anybody like Solomon. You're going to be the smartest man ever. And I've also given thee that which thou didst not ask. You could have asked for money and peace in your time and victory and all that stuff. I'm going to give you that too. So Solomon built his own house for 13 years, and he finished his house. He had the biggest and fanciest house in the world. Okay? That's in chapter 7. Chapter 10. The king made a great throne of ivory and overlaid it with the best gold. And he had 12 lions on each side. Quite a fancy throne to approach, okay? Chapter 10, Solomon gathered together chariots and horsemen and had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen. Huh. He had 1,400 chariots. Chapter 11, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. Huh. Solomon may have married many of them for political reasons. Marry the daughter of the king next door, and you have an alliance, and he's not going to attack you because his daughter's over at your house, okay? This polygamy was common in that day, right? How many total lifetime partners are too many? Let's see. In general, 4 to 10 is considered average. I think our country's falling apart, folks, okay? God said, find one, get married, stay faithful to for life, okay? Let's see. How many first marriages end in divorce? In 2025, 41% of first marriages are expected to end in divorce. 9 reasons why the second and third marriages are more prone to divorce. Statistics show 50% of first-time marriages, 67% of second-time, and 74% of third end in divorce. Sounds bleak. Why is it more likely to initiate women? Who is more likely, men or women? According to the American Sociological Association, 70% of divorces in the United States are initiated by the woman. She files for divorce, and in many states, you can't stop it. If they want it, they get it, okay? Nothing you can do. And this increases to 90% if we focus only on college-educated women. 90% of the divorces come from them. So King Solomon, in his day, it was common and socially acceptable to have more than one wife. That does not mean God planned it that way or wants it that way. It was simply the custom of the day. Customs are often ungodly. God used both David and Solomon to write much of his word. If you have messed up, listen, God can still use you. God made one man in the garden and made one wife for him. King Solomon must have picked up the idea from his dad or mom, Bathsheba. She was wife number 8 for King David. David had, we don't know how many, some people think 17. When I went to prison for 9 years, see my open letter to Donald Trump from February 1st on all my channels, they moved me 32 times. Because I was a federal prisoner and low security, I was often selected to pass out the groceries on the bus. I was on one trip, I don't remember what state I was in, New Hampshire, I think, and I'm passing out the groceries to the guys. One guy's chained around his waist and handcuffed to the chain. And his name was Vinny. I brought him his lunch and sat down by Vinny. Hey, Vinny, what are you in for and how much longer you got? Talk to him, stuff like that. He told me he had over 1,000 women. I said, I've only had one for 40 years. Is there a difference? He looked puzzled. He said, not really. I said, why don't you get one and be happy? He said, I never thought of that. Like, duh. Okay. King Solomon had more money than you could spend, more women than you knew, more wisdom than any man in the world ever, and more honor. His own army, he had the biggest house, the fanciest throne. Was he satisfied? No. Still didn't get it. Okay. King Solomon, the world's wisest man, understood the importance of real marital love, not just lust. The love story of Song of Solomon is about his first wife. Many people think that. It might be a poem or song to teach his sons and daughters about love and marriage. Either way, God saw to it that his wisdom was preserved in his word for us today. Solomon's wisdom about treating the spouse. There's a lot of good stuff in Song of Solomon. So God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. The firmament is the atmosphere, okay? And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind, and God saw it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, let fowl multiply in the earth. God made the fish and the birds on day 5, and the first thing he said, go have a bunch of kids. One of the greatest drives of every bird and sea creature is to fulfill that command. They can't wait to go make babies, okay? Fish and birds fight over mating rights to this day. They'll fight and kill each other over this. Animals fight over mating rights to this day. Just watch any nature program and you'll see them out there. They go, look at the goats, button heads. That's my woman. No, that's mine. And they go till one gets knocked out, and then I don't know what they do. Okay. Same thing with humans. God blessed man, God made man in his own image, and male and female, and God blessed him and said, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. It's the same thing for the humans. The first command he said was to go have a bunch of kids. He created the needed equipment, and the drive to fulfill that command. Here we have Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. The bride confesses her love. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for thy love is better than wine. Because of the savor of thy good ointments, thy name is an ointment poured forth. Therefore do the virgins love thee. Now, kisses in the Bible are in there quite a few times. Judas' kiss on the cheek was a kiss of betrayal. Mary's kiss on the feet was a kiss of dear love, okay? The kiss of passion and real love. There are 3 kinds of kisses: prune, peach, and alfalfa. Somebody said French kissing is all a matter of personal taste. Okay. Draw me. You agree, Joseph? Okay. We will run after thee. The king hath brought me into his chambers. We will be glad and rejoice in thee. We will remember thy love more than wine. The upright love thee. Then she said, this is the girl speaking, I am black but comely. Comely means handsome or good looking, okay? O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. She was dark, apparently from being forced to work out in the vineyard, get suntan. Back in some cultures, if you work outside and get dark skin to a woman, that doesn't, they like to be bright white, okay? And okay, the self-doubt the maiden had regarding her own appearance should not be overstated. She did feel in some ways unattractive and unworthy. Don't look upon me because I'm black, okay, or dark. At the same time, she could say she's lovely. Look not upon me. This is an attitude very common in early Christian life. We do not want our natural life to be exposed. Thus, being sufficiently dealt with by the Holy Spirit, immature believers will tend to hide from others. They do not wish to be known as they really are. Because the sun has tanned me. Perhaps it's best to say that she saw herself as fundamentally lovely, yet marred by the prolonged exposure in the sun, transforming her fair skin to dark, deeply tanned skin. Hey, I think it's perfectly fine. Have a tan. There's the real Kent Hovind right there, okay? I'm not afraid to get out in the sun. I was lifeguard a couple summers at the Salvation Army camp in Peoria, Illinois. Let's see. Look not upon me because I'm black, because the sun hath looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but mine own vineyard have I not kept. What happened here? Here's one of the commentators said, my mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards. Worse still for the maiden, her unattractive appearance was unjustly forced upon her by her stepbrothers. Somewhat as a Cinderella figure, she was forced to work by cruel relatives. The maiden seems to make, or at least almost makes, the mistake of thinking that her hardships have disfigured her and made her less qualified to be truly loved. She was keeper of the house. Her keeper of the vineyard, her own vineyard have I not kept. How many housekeepers or housekeepers full-time are working, and then their own house is a disaster, okay? Tell me, O thou whom my soul lovest, where thou feedest, where thou makest thy flock to rest at noon. For why should I be as one that turned aside by the flocks of thy companions? Many commentators have analyzed the book of Song of Solomon, and they think they're kind of conversing back and forth. I doubt they're texting or emailing back then, but they were conversing. So one time it's the husband, bride teaching, and other times it's the groom talking, okay? Solomon and his bride delight in each other. If thou know not, O thou fairest among women. By the way, guys, Compliment your wife. Tell them they look beautiful. Okay, find something nice to say. Okay, they're very sensitive. They want to they want to look nice. How much money is spent in the world on women trying to look better? Billions, yeah. I mean, the clothing, the makeup, the perfume. They go thy way forth by the footsteps of the flock, and feed thy kids beside the shepherd's tents. I have compared thee, O my love, to a company of horses in Pharaoh's chariots. Now, probably today, if you called your wife a horse, it would not go well, okay? But that was in those days. Again, in those days, that was a compliment. Oh, those horses are so handsome and pretty. And yeah, okay. Thy cheeks are comely with rows of jewels, and thy neck with chains of gold. We will make thee borders of gold with studs of silver. While the king sitteth at his table, my spikenard, that's a perfume, sendeth forth the smell thereof. So she's thinking, hey, the king's over there. He's going to smell my perfume. You know, notice me. Come on, right here. Okay. Spikenard, essential oil, comes from that plant right there. Spikenard. You can give 3 ounces of spikenard for only $79. Forget it, okay? A bundle of myrrh is my well beloved to me. He shall lie all night betwixt my breasts. Okay, myrrh. They sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and saw a company of Ishmaelites coming down. This is when they're going to sell Joseph, their brother. They had balm and myrrh to carry it down to Egypt. Myrrh, this perfume, this good smelling stuff, was a hot commodity to sell, and the traders would haul it around on their camels and sell it. Okay. Their father Israel said, go bring a little stuff down to Pharaoh. Go down, you know, because this is the story when they had the money put back in their bags, okay? And take some myrrh down there. She'll take principal spices, pure myrrh, 500 shekels, book of Exodus, okay? I have perfumed my bed with myrrh. It was again, perfume, okay? Myrrh is mentioned in the book of Song of Solomon a bunch of times, okay? In Matthew chapter 2, the wise guys came to Jesus in the house. By the way, it was in the house. Don't get confused about the Christmas story. The shepherds came when he was just born in the manger. 2 years later, the wise men show up, and he's in a house by now. Joseph apparently got a job, carpentry job or something, and he stayed in Bethlehem. So they're in the house. Read it. They came into the house. The Christmas scenes always put the wise guys and the shepherds all together. And that's not worth fighting, but it's not true, okay? So they brought Jesus gold, frankincense, and myrrh. That's interesting. Later, when he was crucified, guess what they put on his tomb? Myrrh. They gave him to drink wine mingled with myrrh. He received it not. There came Nicodemus and brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, 100-pound weight. This is for Jesus' burial. So myrrh is a big thing. Okay. Strange things that attract mates. Animals that are truly weird. Their courtship. Let's see, what is this one? Some animals bend over backwards when courting their mates, like this brolga, a crane-like bird in Australia. It impresses the mate how far he can bend his neck back. Oh, you're the one for me. Yeah, let's go necking or whatever. I don't know. The giraffe, he has to taste her pee to decide if he's interested or not. Well, I'm glad we're not giraffes, okay? How about this one? Some kind of snail shoots a dart into the head of the other one. And oh, she loves me. She shot me. Yeah. The snail. The male black widow spider steps on the female's web. He vibrates his abdomen, sending signals coursing along the silk strands. He advances and vibrates and pauses to see if she's going to eat him or not. Distinctly different from the shorter, more regular movements of trapped prey. See, she's feeling the web, and when shaking when a fly is trapped, she knows it's a fly. But this vibration is different. Oh, he's coming. He wants me. Oh, yeah, okay. There's a hermaphrodite sea slug, has both male and female sex organs. When pairs come together to mate, they stab each other between the eyes. Joseph, I don't want to be a sea slug.
No, sir.
Okay. 5-inch pufferfish spend 7 to 9 days making a 7-foot pattern on the seafloor near Japan to attract a mate. Spends over a week making this pattern on the floor, the dust on the floor of the sea. She comes by. Oh, he's the one for me. Puffer, okay. Body parts that reflect ultraviolet light help the male jumping spider catch female's eyes, all 8 of them. She's got 8 eyes. Oh, look at him. His mustache is glowing. Okay. The males lure the female spiders by striking poses that display these glowing patches prominently. Female spiders have a glowing trick of their own, possessing palps, a pair of appendages near the head that fluoresce green. They use to attract the male. These are some of the mating rituals, okay? Different things attract different animals. One species, a hummingbird, has a long tail. Tail is 6 inches long, much longer than the bird, and he flops it around, and they're iridescent. Oh, and she says, wow, look at that. I like him. Male mice seeking to impress a mate sing unique high-pitched songs in the ultrasonic range. They produce these whistling sounds, which differ greatly from normal communication, by creating a type of feedback loop of airflow in the windpipe and the larynx. Scientists discovered a mechanism by shooting high-speed video of the mice larynx as they vocalized. That's a voice box, capturing 100,000 frames per second. Impressive though this technique may be, the female mice are picky about it, which songs they like. They prefer tunes that differ from those sung by their relatives. How did that evolve? The female mouse listens to the male singing and says, that's one of my cousins. I don't want to marry him. How did this evolve, guys? Here you go. What is this one? The male red-cheeked cordon bleu songbird performs his mating tap dance to court the gal next to him. But they found out high-speed video revealed a mating dance performed by a species of songbird tapping their feet too quickly for the movements to be seen with the naked eye. Blue-capped cordon bleu songbirds, both males and females, well known to bob their heads and sing to each other, but a 2015 study published in the journal Scientific Reports that the first to capture the rapidly tapping of their toes. Female North American porcupines are only fertile a few hours each year. Prior to ovulating, the female secretes a fragrant, to a porcupine, vaginal mucus. The lucky male that finds her stimulates ovulation by drenching her in an explosive jet of urine. Oh, he pees on her. Oh, he's the one. These are... Could you atheists please explain how this evolved? Okay. For a long time, he didn't know what he's supposed to do. He knew he wanted her, but what do I do? Pee on her. Oh, okay, good idea. The bull is not impressed or interested in the cow's udder, okay? The boar is not interested or impressed with the pig's udder, okay? Girls, dress modestly. Please dress modestly. Daddy would say, if you're not in business, don't advertise, okay? Save it for your husband, okay? My beloved is unto me as a cluster of camphor in the vineyards of Engedi. Camphor is only used twice in the Bible, both in the Song of Solomon. It's again, a aroma, a perfume. Waxy, colorless solid with a strong aroma. It's naturally derived from the wood of the camphor laurel tree in East Asia. Beloved, behold, thou art fair, my love. Behold, thou art fair. Thou hast dove's eyes. I guess that's a compliment, okay? Behold, thou art fair, my beloved. Yea, pleasant also. Our bed is green. The beams of our house are cedar, and our rafters are fir. I guess she's describing the house he built for her. So anyway, first chapter of Song of Solomon is a love story between him and probably his first wife, first love. Okay. Any questions or comments? Yes. When we are born again is the part that cannot send the Holy Spirit in us, or our new spirit man. Good question. The Holy Spirit is in us. You're born again. You're born into God's image. Okay. And that which is born of God cannot sin, the Bible says. So I've taken the position for years. Nobody's proven me wrong. I'm willing to discuss it. But when you get saved, there's a whole new nature put into you. You still have the old nature. And Paul was anxious to get rid of that. He wrote to, I forget what church, he said, wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? The things that I want to do, I don't do. And the things that I don't want to do, I end up doing. It's a battle that only Christians understand. If you have two natures, the new nature, the new Kent Hovind, born 56 years ago into my Heavenly Father's family, cannot sin. The old one loves to sin, and they fight all the time. So I think it's the best way to explain it, at least, that we have a new nature that is not even capable of sinning. That's why some people say Christians can't sin, and they go around holy, think I'm holy, I've never sinned since I got saved. Baloney. Stay away from you. Yeah. Okay. Appalachian philosopher. I watched one of your videos and you said the carbon dating was unreliable. Can you explain why? Well, for obvious reasons, okay? If you take the biblical account in Genesis 1 and 2, when God made the world, there was a layer of ice or water above the firmament where the birds fly. I'm a strong believer in what's called the canopy theory. There was a crystal canopy surrounding the world, probably 10 miles up. And that was compressing all the air that's now stretched out 50 miles. down into maybe 10, just guessing. I mean, when you climb Mount Everest, tallest mountain in the world, 5 miles, you can't breathe up there. There's not enough air. The air's too thin. But if you compress the air all around the world, breathing would be easier at the surface. And probably and that crystal canopy that the Jews have always taught was 2 or 3 fingers thick. Get my video number 2 where I cover this and show all the references on this, the scientific references. This crystal canopy would also block out UV light. Ultraviolet light, UV light, is what creates carbon-14. It strikes the nitrogen, which is atomic number 14, knocks a few things off of it, and it becomes carbon-14. Carbon's normally number 12 on the periodic table. Well, carbon-14 does not want to be carbon-14. It wants to, decay because it's radioactive and the particles fly off and you can hear them with a Geiger counter. Click, click, click. Okay, it's a radioactive element. There are quite a few. So carbon-14 and carbon-12 both quickly bond with oxygen and make carbon dioxide. Plants are breathing carbon dioxide. Some of what they're breathing is this radioactive carbon dioxide. So you could hold a Geiger counter next to a plant and it would go click, click, click because of the C14 in the plant tissue, the leaf or the stem. Animals come along and eat the plants, so they get it into their body. Probably during your lifetime, you've either eaten plants or you've eaten animals that have eaten plants for probably just about every meal, okay? That's how we end up with carbon-14 in us, radioactive carbon. When you die, or the animal dies, or the plant dies, it stops taking in any more carbon-14, stops taking in anything. And so whatever it had begins to decay. So what they're doing when they carbon date anything, they're checking how much C14 is in it, which they can do very accurately, okay? The atmospheric carbon now, the air we're breathing, is 0.0000765% carbon-14. Very, very, very tiny amount. As soon as you die, it takes about 5,700 years for half of that to decay or break down, fall apart. And so if you find a fossil and you dig it up and you carbon date it and say, wow, it's only got half as much as we do today, it's been dead for 5,700 years. If you only get 1/4 as much, now it's been dead for, double that. There'd be 104. They're going by half-life. Every half-life is 5,700 years. So they're taking the carbon-14 in the sample they're dating compared to the atmosphere today. And there's one of the major problems. If before the flood, this crystal canopy was up there, the plants and animals that lived there would have very little C14 in their body. So we would dig them up and date them by today's standard, and they're going to date much older than they really are, because we're assuming they started with 0.0000765. No, they didn't. They started with way less than that. Secondly, they're assuming that the C14 has never been contaminated, the decay rate's been the same. They know the solar sunspot cycle every 11 years affects the decay rate and formation rate of carbon-14. I cover on video 7 all the different problems with carbon dating. It is not reliable. They often get different dates from the same sample. When they took lava from Mount St. Helens to laboratories and said, would you carbon date it? They said, no, we won't do it. Go to, what was Ron Wyatt's website to try to get stuff? Ron Wyatt, W-Y-A-T-T, ronwyatt.com. They wouldn't carbon date it. Why not? It's too old. How do you know it's too old? You haven't dated it yet. See, they date things by the geologic column, which does not exist anywhere. Dumbest idea ever is to teach kids the layers are different ages. Okay, other questions? What's the capital of Kazakhstan? Oh, easy, K.
I think that was what's his name?
Do you have anything demonic about AI? I don't know about demonic. I think Satan's going to use it. Satan wants a one world government. He wants to control the world. See, God created the world, and Satan wants to be like God. We read Ezekiel 28 and Isaiah 14. Lucifer said, I will be like the Most High. He wants God's job, which means he wants to be like God. So since God knows everything, he wants to know everything. Satan wants to know what you're thinking. That's the whole idea about this AI chip they're going to put in your forehead or in your hand, where you can't buy or sell without it. Now we all become one big computer. What's the name of that thing called? They're trying to do link everybody together. Neuralink, yeah. It's satanic. It's part of his goal to take over. He would know what everybody's thinking. I don't want to know what everybody's thinking. Anyway, so yeah, I think it's whether it's demonic or it's going to be used by Satan. Guns are not demonic, but sometimes they're used by demonic people. So a car can hurt somebody, but doesn't mean cars are bad. It's who's driving. Okay, let's see. G. Can dragon wings fossilize, or do they hide the wings when they're found? I don't know. Wings of animals have been found fossilized. Wings of dragonflies have been found fossilized. I guess you're trying to give a hard time on that one. About the word dragons is found in the Bible quite a few times. I think it's talking about dinosaurs. Were there flying dragons? Maybe so. Maybe they've not been found yet. A lot of stuff. They find new stuff all the time. So not worth fighting over. James, think of her being dark from the sun. Maybe picture a new Christian's shame of past world. I agree. There's probably a lot of symbolism in here. That's why that Charles Spurgeon's preached, 60 or 80 sermons on the Song of Solomon. A lot of good wisdom in this book.
Are you pre-trib?
I used to be pre-trib, not anymore. We're raptured out after the tribulation, just like it says in Matthew 24, when the sun and the moon go dark. Get my chart. This is a small version of the same chart behind me here. On the back is the verses from Daniel and then from Matthew, Mark, and Luke. In Matthew 24, the disciples said, Lord, when are you coming and what's the sign? Mark 13, Lord, when are you coming and what's the sign? Luke 21, same thing. When are you coming? What's the sign? He describes the tribulation for the next 20 verses, including the green verses here, where it talks about the abomination of desolation when the temple is desolated. Then we go into the great tribulation. And at the end down here, in Matthew 24 at least, verse 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, when they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. This is the rapture of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet. 1 Thessalonians 4 talks about that. And they shall gather together his elect. So the rapture comes after the tribulation. They asked him, when are you coming and what's the sign? He says, guys, I'm coming after the tribulation when the sun and the moon go dark. And the sun and the moon going dark is mentioned 10 times in the Bible. Right here, they're all on my chart here. You get these charts, what are they, $10, Joseph?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Digital download.
Yeah, or digital download, right? There's the day of Christ and then the day of the Lord. My book is on that topic and the chart, and we did a video series. Whoa, what on earth is about to happen, where I go through it in great detail. If you want to get the Whoa series, 20 some hours of teaching. Anyway, I wish the pre-trib story was true. It was made up by a 15-year-old girl in Scotland who had a dream from eating too much pizza back in 1830. She started this whole pre-trib idea, and it's just not true. I wish it was. I believed it. I taught it for 40 years. Not true. Sorry. Okay. Dr. Lord Rutherford paved the way for radiometric dating. He also split the atom. Does Dr. Hovind know more? I don't know what you mean by that. Radiometric dating, they can very accurately measure how much C14 is in it. And they can very accurately measure how fast it decays. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying their assumption of what it started with is wrong. You don't know how much it had in it when it was alive. Their problem is, see, when they started radio dating, they realized, let me call up my slides on this, Joseph. This will be, hang on 1 second here. Okay. Seminar part 7. Commonly asked questions. Okay, is it on this first page? Carbon dating. Yep, there we go. There's carbon and nitrogen next to each other on the periodic table. The sunlight produces carbon-14, cosmic rays from the sun. Most of them latch onto oxygen atoms and become CO2. Plants absorb CO2, that's what they breathe, okay? And make it part of their tissues. Animals eat the plants. C14 is unstable. It does not like being C14. Immediately begins to decay back to nitrogen as a gas and escapes, okay? Based on many tests, they figure it takes 5,730 years for half of it to decay, the decay rate. So is carbon dating reliable? If you walked into a room and found the candle burning on the table, and I asked you the question, when was it lit? You say, I don't know. Well, let's do some science here. Let's measure how tall it is. So we measure the candle and find out it's 7 inches tall. No argument. Does that tell me when it was lit? No. Okay. Let's measure how fast it burns. We measure very precisely, we test it over and over and over and find out it's burning 1 inch per hour. My question remains, when was it lit? Can you tell me from those two facts? It is 7 inches tall, it's burning 1 inch an hour. You can't tell me when it was lit unless you make some assumptions. How tall was it when it started? Was it a 12-inch candle or 2-mile candle? And has it always burned at the same rate? You cannot know those. Radiometric dating would not have been feasible if the geologic column had not been erected first. Ooh, important statement there. Fossils have been and still are the best and most accurate method of dating and correlating rocks in which they occur. Apart from very modern examples, which really is archaeology, I can think of no cases of radioactive decay being used to date fossils. Earth's atmosphere is about 300 miles thick. Most of it's within 10 miles. Earth's atmosphere contains 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, very little carbon dioxide, and a very, very little radioactive carbon dioxide. Right. Plants are constantly absorbing this into their tissue. They don't care if it's radioactive or not. Radiation from the sun strikes the atmosphere, produces radioactive C14, combines with oxygen. Willard Libby, back in 1955, started working on this kind of stuff, carbon-14 process. They say about 21 pounds of nitrogen are converted to C14 per year. This is over the entire atmosphere, over the whole world. The sun is producing about 21 pounds spread out over the whole world. There it is right there. Okay. Carbon and nitrogen. Okay. Radioactive carbon-14 can be detected with a Geiger counter. Being produced in the atmosphere by the sun, it breaks down to nitrogen. Half of it's gone every 5,730 years. No question about that. During photosynthesis, the plants take it in. It becomes part of their plant root or fruit or leaf or root, whatever. Okay. Stem. Animals eat the plants, make it part of their body. There you go. So it's assumed the ratio of radioactive C14 to normal carbon-12 in the atmosphere is the same in plants and animals today. For instance, if the atmosphere is 0.0000765%, they assume it's the same in all the animals. I don't even argue about that. Probably is. When the plant or animal dies, it stops taking in any more. So by comparing the amount of C14 in the object they're dating with the amount currently in the atmosphere, and there's the problem, it can be estimated how long it's been dead. If it only has half as much as the air today, they say it's been dead 5,730 years. So it can't get any more, it goes out of balance. You'd have, if it's giving you 0.0000765, you say, well, it just recently died, because that's how much is in the air today. If you get half that much, you give it 1 half-life, 2 half-lives, 3 half-lives, et cetera. Okay, so it goes from a half to a fourth to an eighth to a 16th. So if you're only getting 8 clicks per minute, you call it 1 half-life. If you're only getting 4 clicks per minute, 2 half-lives, 2 clicks per minute, 3 half-lives, et cetera. With their short 5,700-year half-life, no carbon-14 atom should exist in any carbon older than 250,000 years. Should be gone. It is proven impossible to find any natural source of carbon that does not contain significant amounts of C14. That means everything they're testing is less than 250,000 years old. I agree. Less than 5,000 years old. They've been unable to account for it. Let's see, the world's best laboratories. You can read about all this. ICR.org, Institute for Creation Research. They got great articles on that. Okay. Here's some assumptions. If I told you to fill a barrel with water, but I've drilled holes on the other side, as you're putting water in, eventually you reach a place called equilibrium. You can't fill it past that spot because it's leaking as fast as you're putting it in. This is like your checkbook, okay? They assume carbon-14 has reached equilibrium. When they first did testing, they said, well, it would take about 30,000 years for the atmosphere to reach equilibrium. They're now discovering we've still not reached equilibrium. If we still haven't reached equilibrium, then you can't carbon date anything because you'd have to know when it lived to figure out when it lived. Are there flaws in carbon dating? I got a whole bunch of stuff on this. I don't want to take all night on that one. Radiocarbon dating, a closer look at its main flaws. Cosmic rays, let's see, when they date things, archaeological dating tool is wrong. I don't want to spend a whole series on this. So they say, well, we know the Earth is millions of years old. We can ignore the equilibrium problem. We've still not reached equilibrium. Radiocarbon is forming 28 to 37% faster than it's decaying. Well, if we still haven't reached equilibrium, you can't date things with it because you don't know how much was in it. It doesn't work. At times, production rate will exceed the decay rate. Wow. Okay. Again, the candle illustration. So I'm sorry. The amount of carbon-14 can be measured very accurately, and the rate of decay can be determined very accurately. But that's all. How much was in it when it died? You don't know. Has it always decayed at the same rate? You don't know. A canopy overhead, over the crystal canopy above the atmosphere, would block UV light and mess up the whole thing. Errors are feared in carbon dating. I got all kinds of articles about that. Science. Okay. Let's see. Bad dates are very common. Mollusk shells dated. Living mollusk shells were 2,300 years old. They're still alive. That was in 1963. See if it gets better here. 1970. If a carbon date supports our theories, we put it in the main text. If it doesn't entirely contradict it, we put in a footnote. If it's out of date, we just drop it. They pick and choose which ones they want to publish. Freshly killed seal, carbon dated 1,300 years old. 1971. Well, it's not getting better. Okay. All right, I don't want to take all night on it. A couple more questions, Joseph, and we'll quit.
Yes, sir.
You think that plastic and the oil field are killing our world? No. How are they going to produce the electricity? By burning coal or something like that. Plastic is really a type of, it's an oil product. I mean, it burns fine. Would the melted wax give an idea how tall the candle probably was? Maybe. It'd be tough to tell for sure because so much of it would vaporize and, you can do some testing on it. But proving my illustration wrong does not mean the carbon dating works, okay? Okay, that's it. Thank you. Tomorrow night, Song of Solomon, chapter 2. Try to knock this whole, it's a little short book. Some good stuff in there. See you tomorrow.